You can be walking through your living room just like you've done 1,000 times before, and in 2 seconds, everything changes. Not because you're tripped, not because you're getting old, but because nobody ever told you about a silent balance problem that strikes before you feel unsteady. Every 19 seconds, a senior in America is rushed to the ER for a fall, and it's almost never for the reason you think. By the end of this episode, you'll know the one home test that could literally save your life, and why even your doctor may be missing the most dangerous warning sign. I want to start with a story, and honestly, this could have been me or you or someone you love. My neighbor, Ellen, is 74. Sharp as a tack, still drives her own car, bakes for the church. She slipped on her kitchen floor last spring. We all thought it was the wet tile or maybe her shoes, but what the doctors found shocked us. Ellen's balance system had quietly weakened months before the fall, but nobody noticed. Not her, not her family, not even her primary doctor. She never had a chance to fix it before it was too late. Today, Dr. David Harper is here to explain how this happens, why most fall risks are missed, and what you can do, starting right now, to protect yourself. Dr. Harper, is it really true that most falls aren't about rugs or accidents?
Absolutely, Susan. That's the myth that keeps so many people in danger. In fact, the CDC's 2024 report shows that over 70% of senior falls happen without any clear trip hazard. There's no banana peel, no loose step. It's an internal problem, mostly hidden until the fall happens. Most people think, if I just watch where I'm going, I'll be fine. But the research tells a different story.
That's terrifying. So what's really going on? Why do so many people, even those who feel steady, end up falling?
Great question. The answer is what I call invisible imbalance. The systems that keep you steady, your inner ear, your eyesight, your leg muscles, even your nerves, all have to work together like a perfect orchestra. But as we age, even a small decline in just one of these can tip the balance, literally. A 2023 study published in JAMA Geriatrics found that most seniors who fell had subtle deficits in balance or leg strength that were missed in standard checkups. But here's the kicker. Even seniors who exercise regularly and feel strong can still have a hidden balance deficit that only shows up in the right kind of test.
I have to admit, that's me. I go for walks, I use my little pedal bike, but sometimes when I get up too fast or I turn quickly, I feel just a little wobbly. I always chalked it up to normal aging.
That's the trap. We all want to believe it's normal, but the latest research says otherwise. A Harvard study in late 2022 tracked seniors who felt just a bit unsteady compared to those who felt fine. They found the ones with even minor balance concerns were 4 times more likely to experience a major fall within a year. It's not just aging, it's a warning sign. But before we dive deeper, I want listeners to pause for a second and really think, has there ever been a moment, even a small one, where you felt off balance or like your foot didn't go quite where you wanted it to? Because that's the early warning that could change everything.
Okay, so say I have. What am I supposed to do? Is it just go to the doctor and get checked out, or is there something more specific?
Here's the truth. Many doctors don't check balance unless you bring it up. And even then, their tests may be too basic. But there's a better way, right at home. In a minute, I'll walk you through a simple test called the one-leg stand. It's been proven in studies from the Mayo Clinic and Yale to predict fall risk far better than most clinic visits. But before we get there, let's break down why the old advice, like just exercise more, can sometimes be misleading.
Wait, are you saying that general exercise isn't enough?
Correct. The evidence shows that while staying active is crucial, not all exercise helps balance. In 2021, a meta-analysis of over 10,000 seniors found that programs focused on balance and leg strength, like Tai Chi, specific balance drills, or strength training, reduced falls by up to 40%. But walking or cardio alone made little difference. That's a big surprise for most people.
That is surprising and a little scary. I thought my daily walk was doing enough. So what's actually going wrong in the body when someone falls?
There are three main culprits, and only one of them is what most people expect. The first is loss of muscle power, especially in the legs. Second is a reduced sensation in the feet, often from silent nerve decline, sometimes from diabetes or just age. Third is your body's natural balance reflex, which can fade quietly over time. I'll give you a quick analogy. Imagine your body is a three-legged stool. If one leg weakens, it wobbles. If two legs weaken, even a little, you're headed for the floor.
I like that image, a three-legged stool. So what are the early warning signs that people ignore?
Tiny hesitations, small missteps, or needing to grab onto furniture just in case. A 2023 University of Michigan survey found that over 60% of seniors who fell had noticed subtle changes months before, but never reported them. In a moment, I'll share a real-life case where a quick home balance test changed everything for a patient who thought she was perfectly fine.
That's exactly the kind of thing we need to hear. But before we get to the test, what about medications? I've heard some can affect balance. Is that really a big deal?
It's a huge, Susan. Medications are one of the hidden balance thieves. Blood pressure meds, sleep aids, painkillers, even some antidepressants can quietly make balance worse. A 2024 review in the New England Journal of Medicine showed that seniors on multiple medications were twice as likely to fall, even after adjusting for other factors. And here's the twist. Many seniors don't know which of their medications are risky. That's why we always recommend reviewing all prescriptions with a pharmacist or your doctor, specifically asking, could this affect my balance or make me dizzy? Most people never ask, but it can be life-saving.
That's such an important question. I know so many people who just assume their medicine is safe because the doctor prescribed it, but nobody ever explains the side effects.
Exactly. And in a few minutes, I'll walk everyone through a simple script you can use with your doctor or pharmacist so you don't get brushed off or miss something crucial. But before we go there, Susan, let's set up our big moment, the balance test that every listener can do at home right after this conversation. Because knowing your true fall risk is the first step to real prevention.
All right, Dr. Harper, you have me on the edge of my seat here. I'm picturing my friends, my family, even myself, all doing this one-leg stand right in the living room. How does it work, and why is it so powerful?
It's amazingly simple, Susan. No special equipment, no fancy instructions. Here's what you do. Stand next to a counter or sturdy chair, something you can grab if you need to. Cross your arms over your chest, then, when you're ready, lift one foot off the ground and try to balance as long as you can, eyes open, looking straight ahead. The key is not to use your arms or the counter unless you start to tip. We're not trying to embarrass anyone. Safety comes first. If you can stand on one leg for at least 10 seconds, that's a good sign. Less than 10 seconds, especially if you wobble or need to touch the counter, means your balance system needs attention.
I have to say, just hearing that makes me nervous. What does it mean if someone can't make it past a few seconds?
Don't panic, Susan. The point of the test isn't to scare anyone. It's to catch issues early. In a 2022 Japanese study with over 1,200 older adults, those who couldn't balance for 10 seconds were 3 times more likely to fall in the next year, even if they felt fine otherwise. And get this, balance improved dramatically in the group who started simple balance exercises after failing the test. So this is not a diagnosis, it's a wake-up call and a blueprint for action.
That's honestly reassuring. I'm thinking of Ellen again. If we'd known this test a year ago, maybe her story would have turned out differently. But you mentioned you had a patient who caught their risk early with this test.
Yes, her name was Mary. She was 76, independent, and thought she was in great shape until she failed the one-leg stand in my office. She was shocked. She'd never fallen, never felt old, but after seeing the result, she started a daily balance routine. Simple moves, 5 minutes a day. 6 months later, not only was her balance test dramatically better, but she felt steadier and more confident getting up in the night, reaching for things, even walking outdoors. That's why we stress catching balance issues early and acting on them changes lives. It's not about shaming or scaring anyone, it's about putting power back in your hands.
This is making so much sense, Dr. Harper. But let's talk about what listeners do if they try the test and don't do so well. What's the first step to improve? I know you said not all exercise is the same.
Exactly. And here's where things get practical. If you struggle with the test, the first and most important thing is don't go it alone. Tell a family member or friend, and talk to your doctor, preferably one who really listens. But you can also start some safe, research-backed exercises at home, as long as you hold on to something sturdy for support. For example, heel-to-toe walking. Picture walking a straight line, one foot directly in front of the other, as if you're on a tightrope, holding on to the kitchen counter. Another is gentle sit-to-stand practice from a sturdy chair. These small moves, when done daily, have been shown in a 2023 Australian study to cut fall risk by up to a third. And for those ready for a next step, Tai Chi is incredible. A 2021 trial in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that seniors who practiced Tai Chi twice a week had 44% fewer falls than those who didn't.
Wow. I've always heard about Tai Chi, but thought it was just slow movement. Didn't realize it was so powerful. But how do people get over the "I'm embarrassed" factor? A lot of us don't want to admit we're unsteady.
That's such a real fear, Susan. In fact, a University of California study last year found that embarrassment and denial keep over half of at-risk seniors from ever mentioning balance concerns to anyone. That's dangerous because the stigma can turn a fixable issue into a life-changing injury. Here's what I tell my patients. Balance problems are not a personal failure. They're as common as reading glasses. If we can talk openly about cholesterol or blood pressure, we should be able to talk about balance because it's just as important.
You know, I think that's a breakthrough point for people. I used to avoid telling my doctor if I felt off because I worried I'd sound weak or dramatic. I imagine so many listening right now feel the same.
Absolutely. And it's not your fault if you felt brushed off. Too many appointments are rushed, and sometimes doctors don't ask the right questions. That's why you need a script, a way to get the answers you deserve. Here's what you can say. Doctor, I've noticed I feel a little unsteady sometimes, or I didn't do well on a home balance test. Can we check my balance more closely, and are any of my medications making it worse? This isn't being difficult, it's being proactive. If your doctor doesn't take it seriously, ask for a referral to physical therapy or a balance specialist, and bring a loved one to the appointment if possible. They can help advocate for you.
I love that advice, Dr. Harper. I wish I'd had those words in my pocket years ago. So let's say someone talks to their doctor and finds out medication is part of the problem. What then? Should they stop taking it?
Never stop a medication suddenly without medical guidance, but absolutely review your prescriptions. In a 2024 American Geriatric Society statement, they recommend all seniors over 65 have a yearly medication check focused on fall risk. Your doctor or pharmacist can help identify which medications might be risky and see if alternatives are possible. Sometimes just adjusting the timing or dose can make a big difference.
I have to ask, are there any surprising causes of falls you see often in your practice? Things people don't realize are dangerous?
Definitely. One of the biggest is dehydration. Older adults often don't feel thirsty, so they drink less. But mild dehydration can lower blood pressure, making you dizzy when you stand. Another is poor lighting, especially at night. And footwear. A 2023 UK study found that slippers and flip-flops cause more falls than almost any other shoes. But there's one silent factor most people never see coming: vitamin D deficiency. The same JAMA geriatric study I mentioned earlier showed that seniors with low vitamin D had weaker muscles and higher fall rates. I always recommend checking your levels and talking to your doctor about supplements if needed.
Dehydration, lighting, shoes, even vitamin D, it's more complicated than just be careful. I'm sure someone listening right now is wondering, am I doomed if I live alone or have already fallen?
Not at all, Susan. In fact, taking action now can change your trajectory completely. We've seen patients in their 80s and even 90s regain confidence and cut their fall risk in half just by following the steps we've talked about today. But here's a twist most people never see coming. The risk of falling once doubles your risk of falling again within a year. That's why after a fall, you can't just say, well, I'll be more careful. You need a plan. That's what we're about to lay out. A simple, research-backed fall prevention blueprint. You can start this week.
You're opening a big loop for us, Dr. Harper. Give us a taste. What's one step from this blueprint most people miss?
Here's one. Schedule a home safety walkthrough. It sounds basic, but a 2024 CDC pilot showed that seniors who had even a 30-minute safety check by a friend, family member, or trained volunteer had 37% fewer falls in the next year. People often miss things like loose cords, uneven thresholds, or cluttered walkways that become invisible after years of living in the same home. Sometimes fresh eyes save lives.
That's a simple step. I can think of a dozen little trip traps in my house right now. But what about technology? Are there tools or gadgets that really help, or is that just hype?
Great question. Some tech is absolutely game-changing. Motion-activated night lights, grab bars that install in minutes, even smart insoles that track balance. A recent Stanford trial found that participants using wearable balance monitors were able to catch balance loss days or even weeks before a major fall, giving them time to act. The key is to use tech as a helper, not a crutch.
You know, I never thought I'd say this, but I want to try that one-leg test before the episode is over. Maybe we can all do it together after the break.
Absolutely, Susan. And after the break, I'll walk listeners step by step through a balance-building exercise they can start tonight and share the surprising story of the super-ager who turned her life around after a fall, proving it's never too late to regain control.
Okay, Dr. Harper, I promised I'd be brave and try the one-leg stand right here on the show. Listeners, if you're able and it's safe, maybe you can join me. Just make sure you have a counter or chair close by. All right, arms across my chest, and here goes. Oh, wow, I'm already wobbling a little bit.
That's exactly what most people feel the first time, Susan, and it's perfectly normal. The important thing is not how long you last on day one. It's what you do after you know your number. And for anyone who didn't make it to 10 seconds, remember you're not alone. The majority of seniors over 70 have trouble with this test at first, but every day you practice, your balance system wakes up a little more.
That actually makes me feel better. So let's say someone fails the test. What's the first exercise they should do to get started?
The safest place to start is right where you are, supported balance practice. Here's a simple daily exercise backed by a 2023 study out of Johns Hopkins. Stand next to a sturdy counter or sink. Lightly touch it with one hand for safety. Lift 1 foot an inch or two off the floor, doesn't matter which. Hold as long as you can, aiming to build up to 10 seconds. Repeat 3 times per leg, once or twice a day. For many people, just doing this consistently for a few weeks makes a huge difference. If you want to take it further, you can try sidestepping along the counter, heel-to-toe walking, or gentle sit-to-stand exercises. And of course, Tai Chi or group balance classes are amazing if available.
I love that these tips are so doable and they don't take an hour or require special equipment. Just a few minutes every day.
Exactly. The best prevention is the one you'll actually do. The research is crystal clear. Short, regular practice beats occasional big efforts every time. One 2024 meta-analysis in The Lancet found that seniors who spent just 10 minutes a day on balance exercises cut their fall risk by up to 35% compared to those who only exercised once a week.
Now, you mentioned before the break a story about a super-ager, someone who bounced back from a fall stronger than ever. I feel like a lot of listeners need that hope right now.
Absolutely. Her name is Lorraine, and she's a retired nurse, 82 years old. Lorraine tripped on a rug one night and fractured her hip. She could have given up, but instead, she used the injury as motivation. After rehab, she joined a local senior balance class, did daily exercises, reviewed her medications, and even put in extra grab bars at home. Not only did she never fall again, but she started hiking with her walking group and even tried ballroom dancing. Her story proves that age isn't the limit. Mindset and action are.
Lorraine is my new role model. That's incredible. And I bet her story is more common than people think, if they know where to start.
That's the secret. Knowledge and action, not luck. And for anyone listening who feels like it's too late, it's not. The human balance system can improve at any age, even into your 90s, as shown by recent Harvard research. But Susan, let's address a fear a lot of people have. What if my doctor doesn't listen or doesn't take me seriously? You mentioned it earlier, and it's a huge barrier.
Yes, and I'm glad you're bringing it up again. So many people, myself included, have left appointments feeling rushed or brushed aside. How can someone get their concerns across and get the help they need?
The first step is confidence. You have the right to be heard. Walk in with your notes. Describe any near falls, dizziness, or results from your home balance test. Use specific language. I feel off balance at times, and I'm worried about falling. What can we do to lower my risk? If the doctor seems dismissive, ask directly for a referral to physical therapy or a falls clinic. And don't be afraid to bring a family member or friend for support. In a 2024 survey, patients who advocated for themselves and brought a second person to appointments reported twice the satisfaction and far better outcomes.
I wish I'd known that script years ago. It really does make a difference to go in with a plan. And honestly, if your doctor won't take you seriously, maybe it's time to find one who will.
Absolutely. The right team makes all the difference. And remember, pharmacists can be incredible allies too. They can review your medications for fall risk, help with alternatives, and catch things doctors sometimes miss.
Let's do a lightning round, Dr. Harper. What's one thing people can change today to make their homes safer?
Lighting. Install night lights in the bathroom, hallways, and bedroom. A 2023 CDC study found that improved nighttime lighting cut fall-related ER visits by 22%. It's cheap, fast, and could save your life.
And one thing people shouldn't ignore in their health routine.
Stay hydrated. Even mild dehydration can cause dizziness and balance loss. Aim for at least 6 to 8 cups of fluid a day, unless your doctor says otherwise.
And finally, what about those gadgets you mentioned? Are there any you really trust?
Absolutely. Motion-activated lights, sturdy grab bars, and if you're tech-savvy, wearable fall detectors or smart shoe inserts. But remember, no gadget replaces practice. Use technology to help, not to give a false sense of security.
That's so practical. And I hope everyone listening feels more in control, because you truly can prevent most falls. Before we close, Dr. Harper, what would you say to someone who's still on the fence, maybe afraid to face the truth about their balance?
I'd say this. Facing your risk isn't admitting weakness. It's an act of courage. You're not alone. By taking simple steps, you protect your independence, your dignity, and your future. The hardest part is starting, but the rewards are worth it.
That's powerful. And you're right. None of us should have to face this alone. If you're listening right now, remember, you have a community, and every step you take matters. So let's wrap with hope and a promise. Next week, we're diving into a hidden danger almost nobody talks about: the early warning signs of bone loss and what you can do before you ever break a bone. Dr. Harper, thank you for another eye-opening, empowering conversation.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you to everyone listening. Remember, you have the power to change your story, one steady step at a time.
Until next time, be safe, be steady, and know you're stronger than you think. Dr. Harper, thank you for another eye-opening, empowering